For those of you that have followed our tweets, you are already aware of my past several weeks in the hospital fighting complications and infection from triple bypass surgery. I'm still on home IV for the sternum infection and will be for at least a few months. I've had plenty of time to contemplate what my first video coming back would be. And believe me, I have probably changed my mind 2 or 3 dozen times. And we have plenty of time to discuss God's miracles in my life over the past several weeks. But today's message is going to be short. Today I want to talk about love. I want to talk about family. I want to talk to you about how I've personally missed that perfect love Paul spoke of in 1 Corinthians 13. I chose this topic because I've spent the past 30 days in fear, anxiety, hopelessness, and even self-judgment. Although scared and sometimes shaken, always held tightly in God's arms, there was one question I continued to try to answer. Have I lived up to God's standard of love? In 1 Corinthians 13, the famous love chapter, the Apostle Paul tells us many things about what love is, what it does, and what it doesn't do. Most of us love our families deeply. We would do virtually anything for our spouses and children. Yet, when I compare the love I have for my family to Paul's description of perfect love in 1 Corinthians 13, I'm reminded of how faulty my love is on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure you can relate. We want to love our families well, but we're fallen, we're sinful creatures. And our sin nature gets in the way of loving others the way that we should. During a recent reading of that passage, my attention was drawn to one of many positive adjectives Paul uses to describe love. One that I sometimes find myself struggling with, and never mind which one. If you don't struggle with this one, I know you struggle with one of your own. Since then, it's come back to mind several times. I want to live up to the standard Paul describes, but the truth is, I often don't. I fail, and we all do. We're fallen human beings, and we fall short of the mark every single day. Whenever we respond to our families with impatience, envy, pride, selfishness, and unkindness, or a quick temper, we're not acting in love. We're missing the mark. I was thinking about these issues, and it occurred to me that our families occupy a unique position in our lives. And because we love them so much, they receive the best of us. Yes, the best of us. No other people in my life get the love, attention, and sacrifice my family receives. That's wonderful, isn't it? But on the flip side, because our families are so close to us and see so much of us, they also witness the worst of who we are. No one sees me in my weakest, most unloving moments the way my family does. That hurts, ladies and gentlemen. If you're like me, you hate the downside of that equation. I hate it that I've ever said an unkind word to my wife. I hate it that I've ever been quick-tempered with my children. I wish I could love my family perfectly, but the truth is, I'll never be able to love them with the faultless love described in 1 Corinthians 13. That, after all, is what the love chapter is, a betrayal of the pinnacle of godly love. As such, it's unattainable by those of us corrupted by sin. Try as we might, we'll never reach the summit while we're on this earth. Only God can love that perfectly and that completely. The same love I felt after my surgery and the struggles I was going through. What can I do? What can I do, however, is to ask God to help me love my family and others better. I can look at the areas I fail to measure up to and ask for His forgiveness. Then I can ask for His help, His grace, and strength to better love in the future. How about you? What areas do you struggle the most in meeting the biblical definition of love as found in 1 Corinthians 13? Is it acting with selfishness? Are you impatient? Do you have a quick temper? See, one of the helpful things about this chapter is the way it can serve as a diagnostics tool in identifying our problem areas. If Paul says love is the one thing and you find yourself acting with something else, you know you have room to grow. So take those problem areas to God, repent when needed, and sincerely ask for His help. The God who identifies so closely with love that He says He is love, He is waiting to help us love others more perfectly, more completely, and more selflessly. In fact, I suspect that's a prayer He loves to answer. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. Like I said, this was going to be a short message today, but I felt like it was an important one. A lot more to come as I start to feel better. My messages will definitely get longer. Great to be back, at least partially. You guys know all about the donations. You guys know the things that my family's been going through. But most importantly, we need prayer over and above everything else. Micah's Treehouse is still moving right along. We did get the first prototype done, waiting on the bow approval for the bear's hair. But other than that, everything's moving along as planned. We are a little bit behind, of course, but hope to jump right back in the lead here soon. So with that, that's all I have. Guys, until next time, again, it's great to be back. Appreciate and love every one of you. God bless you and your families. Thank you.